Hi, this is John Haas. I'm going to talk today about my last foray into the entertainment business, my last picture show, so to speak. And remember, I never really advanced any higher than the low man on the totem pole status of production assistant or PA or gopher. Let me just quickly run through the filmography of movies that I've been affiliated with to put it into context. I like to say that I never worked on a movie that succeeded, and after all these years, most of them have been forgotten. However, at the time they were being made, they had very high hopes. So I would say the filmography is as follows: 1974, Menachem Golan's Lepke, starring Tony Curtis, followed by the low-budget horror movie Dracula's Dog, and before that, in between Lepke and Dracula's Dog, was Mike Nichols' The Fortune with Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty. And then after The Fortune and Dracula's Dog was Stony Island, produced by my mother, co-written by her and Andrew Davis, and starring a cast of unknowns from Chicago. And then a movie that was, as far as I know, never released, and none of us were ever paid, but we expected that, and it was called Chasing Rainbows. And at some point, the owners of the film renamed it Naked Campus to give it an exploitation feel to it, but I have no idea whether there's any nudity in the movie. There was none when I was working on it. Then we talked about Isabel's Choice yesterday on Christmas. So I wish to talk about the final movie that I was involved with. It was called The Buddy System. It was a 20th Century Fox movie, and I had the connection to the president of 20th Century Fox, the first woman ever to hold the office of presidency of a major studio, and her name was Sherry Lansing. And I had an interview with her, and she placed me as a production assistant on the Buddy System under the producer Alain Chamas. He was a Lebanese, but he had lived in France, and he sort of was a Francophile, and he changed his last name and first name. I take that back. He changed his first name from Abdullah to Alain, and he was an interesting character. The movie was a romantic comedy starring Richard Dreyfuss and Susan Sarandon, who were both very, very big stars at the time. The movie seemed doomed from the beginning. It had a sort of weak script. The director was quite inexperienced. He'd been more of a Broadway director, and he had done a movie with Marsha Mason, I think They All Laughed, or something like that. Not They All Laughed, but I can't remember the name, but that was his best movie. And anyway, the movie experience was good because it was a good paycheck. It seemed to be the first real job that I had where I was, on the payroll and I had to go to the cashier's office to get my paycheck and all of that. And they also provided me with a company car, which was one of a fleet of 1982 Crown Victorias, which I like to this day. It sort of the nostalgia of remembering the luxury and the power of the car that was provided by Fox. Like I said, the movie did not succeed. It got lukewarm reviews, lukewarm box office as far as I know, and it sort of uh, faded into oblivion. A couple highlights, though, uh, working on it. One was the producer Elancho Mas, who essentially I became his driver and his personal assistant. He was from Europe and the Middle East. He had a lot of contacts and friends in the film business, and he once asked me to go pick up an elderly Italian man at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And I'm surprised he didn't give me his name. I don't recall him giving me his name, but I immediately spotted a likely suspect in the lobby, and I asked him if he was to come with me to Fox to see Shamas, and he said yes. I drove him to the set, the studio, which was just a few miles away, and there were a lot of police and security because Ronald Reagan was having lunch with Marvin Davis, who was the owner of the studio at that time and a Reagan supporter. The man said, "What is all these? Why are there so many guns?" And I tried to explain to him about Reagan. Well, I come to find out that the elderly Italian gentleman was none other than one of my favorite directors of the time, Michelangelo Antonioni. And then a second time he came to the set, and Richard Dreyfuss went up to him, and I heard him say, "If you ever have a part for a small Jewish guy, keep me in mind." And then the other director that he also was friends with was Bernardo Bertolucci, and he asked me to drive him to the Chateau Marmont where Bertolucci was staying. And they made a funny pantomime exchange where they sort of simulated snorting cocaine, which at that time was a very fashionable and popular drug, especially with people with money. So that's the story of the buddy system. I didn't really tell you anything about the plot. It was about a school janitor played by Richard Dreyfuss who wants to be a famous rich inventor and invents a dog wash, and he gets involved with, or he is already, no, I take that back. He gets involved with Susan Sarandon, and it's sort of Nancy Allen from Blowout and Dressed to Kills in it, and she's his girlfriend, Dreyfuss's girlfriend, and then there's a love triangle, so maybe you could check it out. But I'm done with this review, and my name is John Haas, and I shall see you later. Bye-bye.